Hello everyone and welcome. It's Shanna. Now I am back with the mixed media panels that I made the other day, and I'm using the Wild Violet and Ladybugs die set that was recently released. It's part of the Poet's Garden, I think, and there are 4 dies that come with it. And I have used the splattered paper that I used the other day, and I'm going to use the leaves that I created a couple of days ago for my card, and I had a whole bunch of them left. Now I know I need a couple more of the petals. Here I've already assembled. We've got the bud and then 3 flowers that we've created from our petals. And I've got another stem, and I've got some of the bits in there, and I've got these leaves. These leaves are stunning. I think the leaves make the card, not so much the flowers, because we're using the mixed media again. But I think it comes together. But those leaves were just amazing, and I thought I'm going to use them. They are not the leaves that are included with this die set. They are the leaves that were included with the clematis die set that we used. But I didn't feel the need to die cut these leaves out because I have all of those, and I think they're just gorgeous. I think they look real. Anyway, I know I need a few more petals, so I'm just going to take this mixed media panel here and just die cut some more of them out so that we'll have enough to create our 3 individual flowers and then our bud. And I already have 1 that I had already created, so we're actually going to have 4, and we're just going to create the flowers. I'm going to show you how I curl them up, and then we're going to make a simple card and just have kind of a full set of our wild violets. And I'm not going to bring the ladybug die in. I didn't want to go and dig out my ladybug. The ladybug's not included with this die set. At least it wasn't in my packaging. Maybe it is in yours. But I have some ladybugs because I have collected Susan Tierney's Cockburn's floral sets for a while, and I know periodically she throws a ladybug in there, and so I know I have some. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my Cricut stylus and this rubber mat, and I'm just cupping these violets. And basically, as you do that, it kind of draws the 2 sides in together, and we are just going to cup each and every one of these petals to get the right look on them. And I zoomed up close because I thought maybe you could get a better look at it if I was zoomed in really, really close. And so I'm just going to, and this is just the rubber mat for my glimmer, where you would pull your hot glimmer plate off and lay it on here. And I'm just using the back side of it. And I'm just taking that stylus and just pressing kind of like a straight line right in the center of each of these petals. And it's just curling it up and drawing it in. And it gives you that kind of curly look that you would get with your petals. Now these could be very pretty in just like a real light purple or purpley blue cardstock. They could be really, really pretty. You could use a lighter purple and then put a little bit of darker purple just ink on them and just make them really pretty. But I had these mixed media panels that we created the other day, and I thought, we'll just have a little different looking violet. We're going to use this up, and I think it makes an interesting look. I'm going to bring in, I've some craft cardstock, and we're just going to kind of make it just kind of a little mixed media card. And I use the green mixed media panels for the stems, and so you've got a real variegated stem there with a couple of different colors, and so then we're going to have these variegated leaves with the kind of the speckled paper that I had created. And then we're going to bring these beautiful leaves in and just use them up. So I'm just continuing to go down the centers of them and just curl them up and kind of draw them in together. Now this is the base of the flower, and I'm kind of making a cone out of it. I'm just pressing right in the center of it and drawing up those petals because it's going to be the landing zone for my flowers. Now here's my stem, and you've got 3 spots for just kind of like the florals, and then the 4th spot is for the bud, and it's like it's just kind of opening up. Now I'm grabbing, I know I'm zoomed out, but my glue was clogged, so I just grabbed me a new pen and just kind of unclogged it. And then you're just going to take these And you're just going to try and set them. Now, I will fiddle with them because I'm getting glue on my fingers and getting it stuck together and getting it stuck to my tweezers. And you really just want to set these inside of those prongs. Just kind of lean them up against there. And you're going to use one of each type. There are 3 layers to each flower. And then you're just going to kind of just set them in there and kind of stick them in a little puddle of glue and let them adhere and kind of lay organically and just kind of be bent in different directions. And that makes it for an interesting looking flower. And we're just going to do it with all 3 of them. And then we'll get our bud put together and we will curl it up. And so you have like 2 that have 2 prongs on them, and then you have a single one. I guess 2 petals, 2 with 2 petals, and then a single petal that you add to it. And we're going to do this one as well. And just kind of get them laid in there. And I'm just kind of fussing with it. And I'm using plenty of glue. And the tip of that glue bottle is kind of sticky, and it just keeps wanting to lift it. And just kind of get them stuck down in there. And you want them to look real organic looking. Now I'm going to let them dry, and I'm going to take these petals here. These are the extra ones. And I'm just curling them up because it's like a bud that hasn't fully opened yet. And so curl them however you want. You can use your tweezers or use your fingers and just kind of roll them up. You're going to use 2 layers for this one. The 2 pronged, you're going to use both of the 2 pronged ones and just layer them up and then lay them inside of each other. And I'm just curling it around there. And I'm going to put some glue in there and then pinch them with my tweezers and just let my tweezers kind of hold them together for a little bit. And then we'll have our bud. Now I'm going to work on the centers of these now. And I'm going to bring in a triangle tray, and it's kind of off camera because I am zoomed in, but I'm going to bring in some orange shaker dots. And these happen to be from Cat Scrappiness. I have several other little dots. And I'm just going to puddle them in on the glue and just kind of make it look like the centers of the flowers. And I think they look like very seedy. They look like seeds. And I think it works really well for it. And I like that little pop of orange. Now, I've not given my flowers enough time to dry, so I'm going to be fussing with them. But I'm just pouring these beads in here, and I'm going to lay them down in there. And I'm probably getting more than I need, so I'm just going to sprinkle them across there. And then our glue will dry clear, and we'll have those beads laying in there, and I'm kind of clustering them all together. And they make for a nice center to our wild violets. And then they'll just dry up. Now, I should have given it more time to let it dry before I start picking up and gluing, but I was impatient and was trying to get it going. But we're going to just put a little bit of glue down on each one of those stems, and you can kind of bend those around. I should have probably glued them down first and then did my bending, because they would have laid better, or I could have glued them easier if they were flat, but I'm just going to tuck them in. This one I'm going to put some glue down on, and then I'm going to kind of tuck it around the other flower and just kind of cluster them together. And then we'll lay this one here. And you can see I've got an extra one, and here's where you can see I should have let them have more time to adhere. We're going to stick this bud on that other stem that kind of, it looks like a claw because it's, it's surrounding the little bud. Just going to push it down and get it attached on there. And then we'll get our little mat out of the way, and we've got our flowers, we've got our extra flower, and we've got our leaves. And we're just going to get to assembling our card. And I did go ahead and leave it kind of zoomed in, and I think you'll be able to see all right, but I'm going to give my card base a press. And I've got this 3D embossed, it's the Regal 3D embossing folder that was just released with the Regal Reflections kit or set. And I'm just going to get it laid down on there. You can see it's got a real nice texture. And I'm using a green fern cardstock panel that I've already die cut some leaves out for one of our other Poets Gardens cards. And we're just going to layer it on a white card base. I'm going to have a nice little white frame around there. And we'll just get some glue on here, plenty of glue, and we'll get it laid down. And I love to, when I'm going to die cut some small pieces out of a A2 panel, I put them in the middle, and then I plan to use it for maybe a card base later where it'll be covered up and I can get, kind of double duty out of that panel. I die cut some stuff out, and I'm also edging this craft cardstock with a green frame. And it really is just about, I don't know if it's a 1/16 of an inch around there. Just enough to make a faint little, maybe it's an 1/8 of an inch, I don't know. And nice little frame around there. And I'm just going to get my first layer of flowers laid down on there. And then we're going to kind of tuck the other ones around it. Just trying to get everything positioned. Press down things that haven't glued yet. And it really doesn't look like much until we get those gorgeous leaves laid down on there. And then we start to really fill in the card base. And for this one, I'm just going to make it a note card. It doesn't have to have a sentiment on it. We're going to have enough decor on the outside of it, and we can just write our personal message on the inside. So I'm just going to start tucking these leaves. And I really love the texture and the curling and, the dimension and the veining that are on these leaves. I did a multitude of things with these. I splattered them with oxide sprays, and I used my Copic markers to put the veining in them. And then I came back over it and used my forest moss ink and blended over it. I did a multitude of things because I wasn't getting the color I wanted, and so I just kept going until I got the color I wanted. And then they curled so nicely because of all of the different medias that I used on there. It gave them a nice texture to curl, and they just look like real leaves. And they kind of feel like it too, just because of the mixed media that I used on there. Now here I'm going to bring in that fourth flower and just stick it down there. There's no sense in leaving it. We'll just add it on there, and we're just going to continue tucking leaves and filling in some of that space. And I think it's really pretty. It's not your true, wild violets, but I think it makes an interesting card, and I really like how it turns out. So there for a minute, I tried to sentiment, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. And I'm just going to stop here, and I think it turned out really nice. So if you like it, please consider giving the video a like, and if you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.